Hey, what's up, you guys and girls, and welcome back to the show. Today, I thought we would steer a little bit away from the paranormal side of things and jump into a true crime story. And boy, oh boy, do I have a doozy for you. We are all going to be looking at the Menendez brothers. Now, if you haven't heard anything about their story, well, you're going to be really shocked. And if you have, well, then you can take a listen again and maybe you'll find out some more details that you may have missed the first time around. As always, I'm Shane Campbell, your host, and this is the Creepy and Paranormal Show. And of course, today's show is proudly brought to you by Invoice Cloud and Little Naples Pizzeria. Now, if you'd like to advertise your business on the podcast, all you need to do is just contact me privately and we can definitely set up something and see how we can get your product out there and maybe help our listeners with something that you have to offer in terms of a service or even a product. Right, let's get into this freaking story of the Menendez brothers. Joseph Lyle Menéndez was born on January 10th, 1968, and Erik Galen Menéndez was born in November 27, 1970. Now, they are American brothers who were convicted in 1996 for the murders of their parents, José and Mary, who was also called Kitty. And during their trial, the brothers stated that they committed the murders in fear that their father would kill them after they had threatened to expose him for years of sexual, emotional, as well as physical abuse, while the prosecution argued that they did it to inherit their father's multi-million-dollar estate. Sounds like your typical all-American story, right? So let's start with a little background now. And basically, Lyle and Erik's father, who was called José Enrique Menendez, was born on May 6, 1944 in Havana, Cuba. At the age of 16, he moved to the United States, and shortly after the beginning of the Cuban Revolution, José attended Southern Illinois University, where he met Mary Louise Kitty Anderson. They married in 1963 and moved to New York City, where Jose earned an accounting degree from Queens College. The couple's first son was Joseph Lyle Menéndez, who goes by his middle name, was born on January 10, 1968. Kitty went on to quit her teaching job after Lyle was born, and the family moved to New Jersey, where Erik was born on November 27, 1970, in Gloucester Township. In New Jersey, the family lived in Hopewell Township in Mercer County, and both brothers attended Princeton Day School. And in 1986, Jose's career as a corporate executive took the family to Beverly Hills, California. The following year, Erik began attending high school at Beverly Hills High, where he earned an average grade and basically displayed a remarkable talent for playing tennis, ranking 44th in the United States for the 18 and under players. Now, that's quite an impressive feat considering how freaking huge the US is. So, yeah, to be ranked 44 in the whole of the United States for the category of under 18 years old, that is very impressive and obviously quite talented. Today's sponsor is called Invoice Cloud. Now, this is really awesome if you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, or even a freelancer. You know how difficult it is to manage and then create those invoices for your customers. But with Invoice Cloud, you have everything you need to create simple, professional estimates on the fly. It's easy to use and understand, and getting rid of all the nonsense so you can have more time to do what matters most, which is to grow your business. Invoice Cloud allows you to add your company details, logo, customer information, as well as products, making it a breeze to send estimates to your clients anytime, anywhere. Now, if you want to start your free 7-day trial and get invoicing in just under 5 minutes, all you need to do is head over to invoicecloud.co.za, and boom, you are sorted. That's invoicecloud.co.za. Now, if there's one thing that I love more than doing creepy and paranormal videos, it is eating pizza. But not just any pizza. Pizza from Little Naples Pizzeria. Their menu offers a great selection of pizza, calzone, tremazzinis, as well as pastas, and they also offer burgers, chips, and buffalo wings, which is something really great to add on the side of your pizza. They prepare their food using only the highest and quality fresh ingredients, so you can be sure that you will taste freshness with every bite. Now, Little Naples Pizzeria is based here in Impala Park, just down the way. I think it's number 24 Freeland Road. And I'll tell you something, guys, they have the biggest selection of pizzas. I think that's probably my biggest nightmare, is having to look at the menu and make a decision on only one pizza. Luckily for us, there are 7 days in a week, which means you could try 7 pizzas. In an ideal world, yes. Guys, come on. You got to hit up Little Naples Pizzeria to order and taste the best pizza in town. They now have 2 branches and are looking to expand. So if you want to own your own store, please feel free to contact them as well. That's Little Naples Pizzeria. Okay, so let's move on to the actual crimes that were committed. And on the evening of August 20, 1989, Jose and Kitty were sleeping on a couch in the den of their house in Beverly Hills. This is when Lyle and Erik entered the den carrying shotguns. Now, Jose was shot in the back of the head with a Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun, and if you know anything about guns, that will do some serious damage. Now, Kitty was awakened by the shots and then got up from the couch. She was then shot in the leg and fell, and was then shot several times in the arm, chest, and face, leaving her completely unrecognizable. I can't even begin to imagine what that sight must have looked like. And when they returned home later that night, Lyle called the police and shouted, "Someone killed my parents." And when the police arrived, the brothers told him that the murders occurred while they were out at a movie theater seeing Batman. And then they attended the annual Taste of LA festival, which was being held at Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. And the police did not order the brothers to undergo gunshot residue tests, which is freaking pretty stupid police detective work, to find out, because if you're doing these gunshot residue tests, you need to find out if they were using the weapons, which they didn't run those tests. And since at the time there was no clear evidence that suggested they might be involved, the police did not bother following through with that. And in the months after the murders, the police connected the brothers' lavish spending to the murders of their parents. Lyle went and bought himself a Rolex watch, a Porsche Carrera, $132,000 townhouse in West Windsor, New Jersey, and Chuck Spreen Street Cafe, a Buffalo Wind restaurant which was in Princeton, New Jersey, while Erik hired a full-time tennis coach and competed in a series of tournaments in Israel. They eventually left the family mansion unoccupied as they decided to live in adjoining condos in the nearby Marina del Rey. They also drove around LA in their deceased mother's Mercedes-Benz SL convertible, dined completely expensively and exclusively, and went on overseas trips to the Caribbean as well as London. Now, it is believed that they spent somewhere around $700,000 during the period between the murders and their arrest. But the suspicion of the brothers for their spending was later disputed by family members who stated that there were no changes with their spendings before and after the killings. So basically what they are saying is that these 2 brothers were spoiled little shits and could just spend money left, right, and center. And there was no different pattern before the parents were killed and compared to when they were after killed. So that is just crazy how much money these boys were spending. Now, during the early stages of the investigation, the police tried to narrow their search to people who had motives to kill Jose and Kitty. That's normally what they do. They also investigated potential mob leads, but nothing came of them. And as the investigation continued, the police believed that the brothers were most likely the perpetrators, since they had obvious financial motives and were liberal spending money in the wake of the murders. No surprise right there. And in an attempt to get a confession from Erik, the police convinced Craig, which was one of Erik's close friends from high school and a tennis buddy, to wear a wire while having lunch with him at a local beachfront restaurant. And when Craig asked Erik if he killed his parents, Erik said no, but he eventually confessed to doing so to his psychologist, which was called Jeremy Oziel. And then police Oziel obviously went on and told someone, which was his mistress, who was by the name of Julian Smith, about the murders. She later broke up with Oziel and told the police about the brothers' involvement. Jeez, what a fucking mess that is. So much for patient-doctor confidentiality. Lyle was then later arrested on March 8, 1990, and Erik turned himself in 3 days later after returning to LA from Israel. Both were held without bail and separated from each other. Now, that's normal standard practice. They don't like to let two suspects get back together so they can start trying to corroborate stories in their lies. The best thing is to keep them apart and let them catch each other out, basically. Now, in August 1990, Judge James Albrecht ruled that the tapes of the conversations between Erik and Oziel were admissible evidence since Oziel stated that Lyle allegedly threatened him and violated doctor-patient privilege. Albrecht's ruling was appealed, and the proceedings were then delayed for another 2 years. The Supreme Court of California ruled in August 1992 that most of these tapes were admissible, excepting that the tape in which Erik discussed the murders. Now, after that decision, an LA County grand jury issued indictments in December 1992, charging the brothers with the murders of their parents. Now, one thing to know, the trials were also really interesting and they play a massive role in the story. So I think let's get into the trial now. And the case became a complete national sensation when Court TV broadcasted the trial in 1993. The defense lawyer, Leslie Abrahamson, Abrahamson became known defending the brothers, particularly Erik. And Lyle and Erik stated that they were driven to murder by a lifetime of abuse at the hands of their parents, especially sexual abuse at the hands of their father, who was described as a cruel, perfectionist, and pedophile. Meanwhile, their mother was described as an enabling, selfish, mentally unstable alcoholic and drug addict. They said that their mother encouraged her husband's abuse and was also sometimes violent towards them. The allegations against the couple were supported by their families, with multiple witnesses testifying. The brother's cousin, who was called Andy Cano, said that as a child, he was told by Erik about the sexual abuse, which they both described as penis massages. Now, Diane van der Molen, another cousin of the brothers, stated that she once told Kitty about Jose's molestation of Lyle, although Kitty told her that it was false. Physical evidence was also provided by the defense, which included nude and sexual photographs showing Lyle and Erik's genitalia taken by their father when they were just children. The prosecution argued, however, that the murders were done for financial gain, and Lyle's prosecutor, Pam Bonsonici, argued that men could not be raped because they lacked the necessary equipment to be raped. That is quite a fucked up thing to say. Jeez, you wonder where some people get their brains from. Now, Erik's prosecutor, who was Lester Kuriyama, suggested that Erik was homosexual and that the sexual abuse was actually consensual. And a few weeks before the night of the murders, Lyle and Erik said that the sexual abuse started again, leading to several confrontations in the family. They also said that their father threatened to kill them if they did not keep the abuse a complete secret. It was around this time that the brothers found out that the parents were hiding rifles in their bedrooms, which led them to buying their own shotguns for protection. Now, the last confrontation happened inside the house den on August 20, 1989, a few minutes before Kitty and Jose were killed. The brothers then stated that their father closed the den's door at the time, which was completely unusual. Paranoid and afraid that they would be killed by their own parents, Lyle and Erik went outside of the house to load their shotguns. Erik stated, "As I went into the room, I just started firing." The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries, and as a result, LA County District Attorney Gil Garcett announced immediately that the brothers would be retried. The second trial was somewhat less publicized, and in part partnership because Judge Stanley Wellsberg did not allow cameras in the courtroom. And during the second trial, Wellsberg also did not allow much defense testimony about the sexual abuse claims and did not allow the jury to vote on manslaughter charges instead of murder charges. So both brothers were eventually convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder and of conspiracy to commit murder in the penalty phase of the trial. They were also sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The jury said that the abuse defense was not a factor in deliberations, but decided not to impose the death penalty because both brothers had no criminal record or history of violence prior to the murders of their parents. However, unlike the juries in the previous trials, the jury in the penalty phase rejected the defense's theory that the brothers killed their parents out of fear, despite all of the evidence and testimony, as that they believed that they committed the murders in order to inherit their father's wealth. Now, during the penalty phase of the trial, Abramson's apparently told a defense witness named William Vickery to edit his own notes, but the district attorney's office decided not to conduct a criminal investigation on Abrahamson. Now, both brothers also filed motions for a mistrial, claiming that they suffered irreversible damage in the penalty phase as a result of possible misconduct and as well as ineffective representation by Abramson. And on July 2, 1996, Wellsberg sentenced the brothers to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He also sentenced them to consecutive life sentences for the murders and charges of conspiracy to commit murder. As in their pre-trial detention, the California Department of Corrections separated the brothers and sent them to different prisons. Since they were considered to be maximum security inmates, they were segregated from the other prisoners. They remained in separate prisons until February 2018, when Lyle was moved from Mule Creek State Prison in Northern California to the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego County, where they were housed in separate units. Erik also spent some time at Pleasant Valley Prisons in Colunga, Fresno County, California. And on April 4, 2018, Lyle was moved into the same housing unit as Erik, reuniting them for the first time since they began serving their sentences nearly 22 years earlier. The brothers burst into tears and hugged each other at their first meeting in the housing unit. The unit, where the house is reserved for inmates who agree to participate in education and rehabilitation programs without creating further disruptions. On February 27, 1998, the California Court of Appeal upheld their murder convictions, and on May 28, 1998, the Supreme Court of California declined to review the case, thus allowing the decision of the appellate court to stand. Both brothers filed habeas corpus petitions with the Supreme Court of California, which were denied in 1999, and having exhausted their appeal remedies in state court, they filed separate habeas corpus petitions in the United States District Court on March 4, 2003, and a magistrate judge recommended the denial of the petitions, and the District Court adopted the recommendation. They then decided to appeal to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit on September 7, 2005. A three-judge panel denied both of their habeas corpus petitions, although Judge Alex Kozinski stated that the trial judge changed many of his rulings during the two trials. Now, this is the part that always fascinates me with any prisoners when they start getting married and having sex with their wives in private visits in jail. That shit completely blows my mind. I still do not know how any of this is possible. But on July 2nd, 1996, Lyle married Anna Erickson at a ceremony attended by Abrahamson and his aunt Marta Menendez and presided over by Judge Nancy Brown. They then divorced on April 1, 2001 after Erickson discovered that Lyle was allegedly cheating on her with another woman. Yes, while he's in prison, he's cheating on her with another woman. Anyways. And in November 2003, Lyle married Rebecca Sneed at a ceremony in the Supermax prison visiting area of Mule Creek State Prison. They knew each other for around 10 years before their actual engagement. And on June 12, 1999, Erik married Tammy Ruth Sackerman at Falcom State Prison in a prison waiting room. Tammy later stated, "Our wedding cake was a Twinkie. We improvised. It was a wonderful ceremony until I had to leave. That was a very lonely night. Dum dum dum." I wonder what she got up to. And in October 2005, interview with ABC News, she described her relationship with Erik as something that I've dreamed about for a long time. And it's just something very special that I never thought I would ever have. Yeah, not everyone fucking dreams of marrying someone in prison. Seriously? Gosh, some people I don't understand, really. Then in 2005, Tammy self-published a book titled They Said We'd Never Make It, My Life with Erik Menendez. But she said on Larry King Live that Erik also did a lot of editing on the book. And in 2005, an interview with People magazine, she stated, "Not having sex in my life is difficult, but it's not a problem for me. I have to be emotionally attached, and I'm emotionally attached to Erik. My family does not understand. When it started to get serious, some of them just threw up in their hands." Do you blame them? Like, really, woman? Now, this Tammy also stated that she and her daughter drive the 150 miles, which for my South African listeners is about 240 Ks, every weekend to visit Erik, and that her daughter refers to him as her Earth Dad. Despite his life sentence, Erik stated, "Tammy is what gets me through. I can't think about the sentence. When I do it with great sadness and a primal fear. I break into a cold sweat. It's so frightening. I just haven't come to terms with it." In 2010, A&E released a documentary about Tammy titled Mrs. Menendez, and in late 2017, A&E aired a 5-part documentary titled The Menendez Brothers, Erik Tells All, in which Erik describes via telephone the murders of the aftermath. The series also show never-before-seen photos and new interviews with prosecutors, law enforcement, close family and friends, as well as medical experts. Which, if you're on Facebook lately, there are a lot of medical experts all of a sudden. And basically, if you try and go and look on any information about the brothers, there's nothing really new updated. I mean, the last news article really came out in 2021, which was just under a year ago, which basically just says that both brothers are still serving their life sentences in Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego County. So there you have it, folks. What a rollercoaster of a story, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this. What is your whole take on the story? For me, definitely, I do believe that there was some sort of sexual abuse towards the brothers. I think it was very early on in their life, and they continued to build up this hatred. And I think they just maybe saw this as their way out, and getting back at their father and the mother in that case. The one thing that stands out for me is that they went outside to load their shotguns, because remember, it said that they were in fear when he closed the door or something like that. Now, if you were in fear for your life, surely you'd run away from the danger. I know some people go towards danger instead of running away, but they had that time to think when they went outside before loading their shotguns and walking back into the house and confronting their parents. So for me, that is probably one of the biggest things that went against them. Secondly, when they phoned the police, they said someone killed them. They could have just said, "Listen, we have murdered our parents. They were trying to sexually molest us for the upteenth time, and we had enough and we shot them." The fact also that they went and bought shotguns shows a bit of premeditation. So yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look good for the brothers. I do think they were after the money, and rightfully so. They are serving life sentences, and without parole, they're going to spend the rest of eternity there unless there is a zombie outbreak and the prisoners get released, which I do not see happening anytime soon. Now, I think this is a good place to leave off the story, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. Now, if you'd like to hear more true crime stories, please would you leave a comment below. Also, please don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Spotify, as well as on Facebook. That is the Creepy and Paranormal Show, signing out for today.